In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted.
No matter who occupies the Oval Office or which party controls Congress, a growing number of unelected bureaucrats wield great control over our federal government. President Eisenhower noted this in his 1961 speech, where he dubbed this force as the military-industrial complex. He warned us about the unchecked control these career employees have within every federal government agency, inside Washington, D.C., and across America as well. Well, today, we know these unelected manipulators of government power as the deep state. And the number of those running the deep state has grown considerably since the American people were warned by President Eisenhower in 1961. Putting the people and the leaders they elect back in control of the levers of power in Washington, D.C. is critical. But make no mistake, many Americans believe what's at stake today is not just the presidency of Donald Trump, but the very survival of our fundamental freedoms for future generations. And joining us today to discuss his new book, Killing the Deep State, The Fight to Save President Trump, is investigative journalist and #1 New York Times bestselling author, Dr. Jerome Corsi. In addition to being a prolific New York Times bestselling author, Corsi is also a Harvard grad with a PhD in political science. And Jerry, it's great to talk to you again.
John, it's great to be back with you. Thank you.
Well, it seems like these days there is more talk about the deep state than ever before, and of course it sounds ominous. Have unelected federal officials and unaccountable bureaucrats really taken over unauthorized control of our government?
Unfortunately, we've seen this increasing, John, since the Kennedy assassination, and there's been repeated examples. I mean, the Watergate hearing should have convinced anyone that there was a shadow government, a deep state. Then you had the Iran-Contra hearings. And now we've got what appears to be, and I think is documented to be, a coup d'etat attempt against President Donald Trump. And this constitutes probably the most bold the deep state has ever been.
A coup d'etat, it's a strong word, but your book also talks about this shadow government. Who are the players? And what are the legitimate tools of government that they're abusing?
Well, John, I think it includes the intelligence agencies, and certainly starts with the CIA and the NSA. And it extends into the Department of Justice and the FBI. I mean, it's massive in terms of its undercover operations. We've known that the CIA has been running drugs since the end of World War II. We saw it in Air America during the Vietnam War. The Iran-Contra incident again showed the intelligence agencies' involvement with drugs, hidden from the American public. And now you've got increasing evidence coming out in recent months that within the Department of Justice and the FBI, in conjunction with the CIA, there was a determination to deny Donald Trump the winning of the presidency, and then when he won, to have a concerted effort to impeach him or remove him through the 25th Amendment, declaring that he was unfit, insane, not capable of managing the presidency, which is complete nonsense.
And even just to mention that these days is controversial in some circles, but let's talk a little bit more about who you say is actually controlling the deep state and what is the real motivation here.
Well, the real motivation, I think, is the holdovers from the Obama administration have really gone to this far left, this hard left idea of a one world order. The United States is an outmoded concept to them. Hillary Clinton was their champion, open borders. You see this in John Brennan, who was running the CIA, and his determination to keep the fact that, you know, his affinity to Islam was kept secret, and yet we found the Muslim Brotherhood favored throughout the Middle East in the Obama administration. All these things were largely hidden as agendas from the American public, and the most shocking is that this deep state conspiracy of really loyalists to Hillary and to Obama made a serious attempt, and are still making it, could yet succeed in denying Donald Trump the right, which he legitimately won in the election 2016, to be president.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about the book. In Killing the Deep State, you say that President Trump is the target of a virtual coup. We're not talking about James Mattis breaking down the door of the White House to take over, but talk about this virtual coup. Is this what we're seeing with the Russia probe?
Yes, and in fact, we saw, I write a chapter in which I call the smoking gun, which was this discussion. The two FBI agents, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, had in Andrew McCabe's office. Now, he was like number 2 or 3 in the Justice Department, now disgraced, forced out of the FBI. And they were discussing how they wanted to prevent Donald Trump from winning the presidency, and if he did happen to win, what a tragedy it would be. But they would have an insurance policy which they could use to guarantee that he could be impeached and removed from office. And it looks like that insurance policy was this Fusion GPS dossier, which the FBI and the Department of Justice knew was full of lies they couldn't validate, but yet they took it to the FISA court and misrepresented it as evidence that there was Russian collusion in order to get electronic surveillance of Donald Trump's campaign.
Now, that's one of the details that has made its way into the mainstream media coverage of the Justice Department. But I want to talk to you a little bit more about the media and what role they're playing with the deep state coup you talk about and write about in the book.
Well, the media is really a willing partner of the deep state. It's become almost like a state-controlled media. We see it influenced by the CIA, which sends out talking points even today in what appears to be a continuation of Operation Mockingbird, paying or otherwise influencing journalists to report the government line. And look, we saw instance after instance where this electronic surveillance was given to the White House, and Valerie Jarrett and others within the White House, they unmasked the names and then leaked this information to the press. Mainstream media published it willingly during the campaign, during the transition, during the first months of the Trump presidency, and these were clear crimes committed at the highest level of government.
A lot of people concerned about that. We got to take a short break here, but when we return, we're going to talk with Dr. Corsi more about specifically who is benefiting from the deep state. Plus, we'll learn how you can help ensure that the power of the federal government is in the hands of the American people and the rightfully elected accountable leaders. Remember that Jerome Corsi's book, Killing the Deep State, is available at bookstores everywhere. Newsmax has an outstanding free offer. To learn more, you can check out the website on your screen right now or call the phone number also as well. Write it down and call that number.
The deep state wants to stop Donald Trump. Now, Jerome Corsi's powerful new book, Killing the Deep State, rips the lid off the secret war against Trump. Killing the Deep State reveals the shocking plot by the FBI, CIA, and NSA to end the Trump presidency. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Newsmax says you can't ignore Killing the Deep State. Get it at bookstores everywhere or check out the free offer. Go online to deepstate711.com. Deepstate711.com.
And I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news. It's fake, phony, fake. A few days ago, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people.
President Trump believes that the media misdirection has impacted his presidency. Trump wants to put the people and their elected leaders back in control of the levers of power in Washington. Jerome Corsi has put together a comprehensive blueprint of how to accomplish that in his book, Killing the Deep State, The Fight to Save President Trump. Dr. Corsi explains how Americans can ensure that the will of the American people remains the priority of our federal government. And Dr. Corsi remains with us. Thanks for sticking around, Dr. Corsi.
My great pleasure. Thank you.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about this. What role does the news media play in the deep state?
Well, the news media is willing co-conspirators in what has amounted to a coup d'etat to take Donald Trump out of office through impeachment or even the 25th Amendment declaring he's not fit and sane, shouldn't be president, which is, of course, completely bogus and completely ridiculous. Donald Trump is probably going to be one of the most competent presidents, and I think you're going to see his exposure of the deep state. I've known Donald Trump a long time, and if you really want to understand the secret plan to remove him from office and what Donald Trump's going to do to prevent that, you need to read the book.
That is a great tease and a great reason to pick up the book right now. We'll talk more about how people can get it, but I want to talk about Jeff Sessions first. Some people have even speculated the deep state may have played a role in Jeff Sessions recusing himself from the Russia investigation. What's your take on that?
I think it's very likely because Jeff Sessions was concerned that in the electronic surveillance that the Obama administration had on the campaign, he may have been picked up talking to this Carter Page about Russia and may not have fully disclosed this to the Senate in his confirmation hearing. So I think Jeff Sessions, in a sense, has been blackmailed by the deep state and prevented from doing his job, which would be to really unmask these traitorous, I believe, criminals within the Department of Justice, the FBI, the intelligence agencies, including the CIA. And Jeff Sessions may not be able to do his job if he's been compromised this way, and I suspect he has been.
There are a lot of people wondering what is going on with Jeff Sessions. The Justice Department, of course, is under his leadership, but little's changed since he's taken the helm. How has the deep state managed to maintain control of the DOJ?
Well, they're so entrenched. There's so many of the civil servants and others who are deep within the Department of Justice and the FBI. I mean, even this Andrew McCabe, who was involved in the conversation with these agents, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, about having an insurance policy should Donald Trump win the election to remove him. I mean, McCabe should be denied his pension. And I think this move is underway. And furthermore, why are Strzok and Lisa Page still working in the FBI? It's unconscionable. They committed what amounts to treason, and we have documentary evidence in their own instant messages to each other. There are thousands of messages that they had a plot to deny Donald Trump the right to be president.
Well, we know Congress continues to look at some of those accusations you just brought up. The left-leaning magazine, though, The Nation, published a report showing forensic evidence that the DNC emails were hacked domestically, and yet the deep state and many in the media insist that Russian hackers are the ones to blame. Why do you think so few in the media have spoken of this forensic evidence that The Nation published?
Well, and even John Brennan, head of the CIA, was one of the first to say Russia collusion. Eric Schmidt at Google played a role. He funded to $100 million CrowdStrike, which was the firm that went in and said the Democratic National Convention was hacked by Russian intelligence, all of which appears to be a lie. Julian Assange maintains that he certainly strongly suggests the emails from Seth Rich, who was brutally murdered, and his investigation, that investigation has never been completed. We've never seen the laptop from Seth Rich, which is now in the hands of the Washington Police Department. I think it would provide conclusive evidence that it was Seth Rich who stole the emails from inside and gave them to WikiLeaks.
There are a lot of questions surrounding that aspect of this story, and we need to stop again for a short commercial break, but when we return, Dr. Corsi will return as well, and you'll learn how you can help ensure that the power of the federal government is in the hands safely of the people and their elected accountable leaders. Again, accountable leaders, what's important to emphasize there. Remember that Jerome Corsi's book, Killing the Deep State, is available at bookstores everywhere, and Newsmax has an outstanding free offer for the book. Learn more at the web address on your screen, or you can call the phone number here as well. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
The deep state wants to stop Donald Trump. Now, Jerome Corsi's powerful new book, Killing the Deep State, rips the lid off the secret war against Trump. Killing the Deep State reveals the shocking plot by the FBI, CIA, and NSA to end the Trump presidency. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Newsmax says you can't ignore Killing the Deep State. Get it at bookstores everywhere or check out the free offer. Go online to deepstate711.com. deepstate711.com.
There has been no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russians, or Trump and Russians. No collusion. When I watch you interviewing all the people leaving their committees, I mean, the Democrats are all running for office and they're trying to say this, that, but bottom line, they all say there's no collusion. And there is no collusion.
Removing that cloud of collusion, alleged collusion, has become a priority for an administration that is working hard to deliver on their campaign promises, putting the people and the leaders they elect back in control of the levers of power in Washington, D.C. That is the goal of a new book from Jerome Corsi. In his book, Killing the Deep State, The Fight to Save President Trump, Dr. Corsi explains why Americans must return the reins of power to elected leaders of this country and how you can help ensure that happens. Jerry, thanks for sticking around with us.
Great pleasure, John. Thank you.
All right, you've been talking about this a little bit. I wanted to ask you a few more questions about this. Why do you think the deep state was all in for Hillary Clinton during the 2016 election?
Well, Hillary Clinton, I think, had a plan with Barack Obama that after 16 years of rule, 2 terms of Hillary Clinton, the Constitution would be completely undermined. We'd be moving towards a new world order, one world government. Borders would be open. I mean, I think the American people really just escaped a coup d'etat almost by a miracle, given that Donald Trump was elected. And I've known Donald Trump for a long time, and I've got great confidence that he's probably the one person in the United States that can turn this coup d'etat around and keep the Constitution intact.
Now, you followed the money surrounding the Clintons, James Comey and other deep state operatives. Tell us a little bit about what you found.
Well, I mean, I discussed in the one whole chapter shows that Hillary Clinton and John Podesta were being paid by Russia, sold Russia even military technology, this hypersonic technology Russia's used to develop a new nuclear weapon. I even show you the bank accounts where Hillary Clinton and John Podesta were being paid in offshore entities. And the money trail in the Clinton Foundation, $147 million going to this Uranium One deal. And by the way, you had James Comey, who was on the board of HSBC Bank when it was doing massive drug money laundering. And I'm maintaining, and I show you in the book, where Mueller was head of the FBI, and what they were covering up was the CIA role in the drug trade.
Now, that's something that has not been talked a lot about, and I look forward to reading more about it in the book. I know a lot of folks at home do as well. Now, Trump won the election, of course, but as you mentioned, he is still under threat. But what does he need to do, and what should his followers do to turn the tables on the Democrats and the deep state?
Well, this is why I've written the book to be so directly discussing this with the American people, to become part of the plan to save Donald Trump. Donald Trump is really on the plan to turn back a propaganda effort, with no Russian collusion, and Mueller just, special counselor says, we haven't looked hard enough. We haven't found it or created the evidence yet. Donald Trump will reverse this, but he needs the help of everyone listening today who can understand on the inside what the secret plan was to remove Donald Trump from office by a coup d'etat, and how Donald Trump can turn this around by developing the evidence needed to prosecute the co-conspirators, even if it takes a military tribunal to bring Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama to justice for what I think is going to amount to treason, unmasking and leaking to the American public these ill-gotten gains from illegal electronic surveillance of Donald Trump's campaign, his transition, and even into his White House. It's unconscionable, and Donald Trump needs the support of everyone here listening to understand why killing the deep state has got to be an effort we get behind.
Well, we certainly learned a lot here today, Jerry, and I wonder if there's any primary take-home message you would like to leave the viewers with, other than the one you just laid on us.
I think the key message of killing the deep state is that we've never had a more critical crisis in the American constitutional republic. And every citizen needs to understand what I've written in Killing the Deep State, why this is a conspiracy, who the conspirators are, how they need to be brought to justice. Donald Trump needs the help of the American people. And Killing the Deep State is written to convey to the American people how you have to get behind the president to make sure the Constitution remains intact.
Dr. Corsi, thanks for talking with us today. It's been a privilege.
My great pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Well, Killing the Deep State is a comprehensive look at today's current events. It connects headlines, giving you a bird's eye view of what Donald Trump and the American people are up against. This book is a well-researched piece of investigative journalism. It contains more than 25 pages of footnotes with all the sources and facts and research that went into the book. You need to check it out. For Americans who continue to believe in the Constitution, our founding fathers, Dr. Corsi says Donald Trump's presidency is our last best hope. And in Killing the Deep State, he tells us what must be done to turn the tables and return control of power to the American people. Killing the Deep State shows how unelected bureaucrats want to make our elections meaningless. Corsi's book provides a blueprint detailing what President Trump and patriotic Americans must do to stop the deep state and regain control of our country. Killing the Deep State is available at bookstores everywhere, and Newsmax has an outstanding free offer. Learn more at the web address and phone number on your screen right now. You might want to write these down. Killing the Deep State has a cover price of $29.99, so don't delay. This free offer for Killing the Deep State is an outstanding opportunity to equip yourself for the coming battle against the media and deep state operatives.
The deep state wants to stop Donald Trump. Now, Jerome Corsi's powerful new book, Killing the Deep State, rips the lid off the secret war against Trump. Killing the Deep State reveals the shocking plot by the FBI, CIA, and NSA to end the Trump presidency. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Newsmax says you can't ignore Killing the Deep State. Get it at bookstores everywhere or check out the free offer. Go online to deepstate711.com. deepstate711.com.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more live breaking news coverage, exclusive interviews, and videos from Newsmax TV, click subscribe on our YouTube channel, and don't forget to download the free Newsmax TV app for alerts. Newsmax TV, it's real news for real people.